8 minutes past 10, BBC Radio Suffolk. A campaign aiming to get as many defibrillators as possible into communities across the UK is proving hugely successful. The idea is for them to be placed in cabinets so they're available to be used by anyone to shock a person's heart back into normal rhythm if they have a sudden cardiac arrest. We'll hear from two brothers later, as we were saying, who've raised money to hopefully place defibrillators in Bury St Edmunds. Steve Hayes is from the Arrhythmia Alliance, who are behind the campaign. Morning, Steve.
Good morning.
Tell us a little bit more about your charity, first of all.
Yeah, we're a charity that campaigns for greater awareness of heart rhythm disorders, and obviously sudden cardiac arrest is a key element of that. Our latest campaign, Hearts and Goals, is really about raising awareness more generally of sudden cardiac arrest, which is quite often confused as a heart attack, a completely different thing. It's an electrical problem with the heart, as you've just alluded to, Mark, but also to take proactive action and to get defibrillators into communities where they're needed.
It's quite an ambitious campaign, this, that you've got going at the moment.
It is. I mean, we're often asked where should defibrillators be? And the answer is everywhere, really. We want these devices to be as common as fire extinguishers. Sudden cardiac arrest can happen to anyone at any time, and therefore these devices need to be available in communities, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that in the event of an emergency, they can be used. This is a huge problem. 100,000 people are dying every year in the UK from sudden cardiac arrest. And we really need to tackle that situation.
So why are we only thinking about this now?
Well, we haven't. I mean, we've been campaigning for many years about this. This campaign has allowed us to really, it's been a platform to really launch this effort because of what happened to Fabrice Muamba, obviously, very high-profile incident. And Fabrice's case is a classic example of what we've been saying for many years. Fabrice, an athlete at the peak of his physical fitness, the last person that you would have expected anything to happen to, but sudden cardiac arrest can strike anyone at any time, and it struck him on a football pitch. He'd been screened, as all footballers are, prior to that game, and nothing was detected. Which again, is why these devices are so important. An AED was used on Fabrice, and had it not, there's a very, very strong chance that he wouldn't be alive today. But obviously the partnership with him, with Hearts and Goals, has really allowed us to take that next step.
And Fabrice's situation, of course, all the medical expertise is there whenever there is a football match. But you get the impression if he was, say, in a shopping centre and it had happened to him, he might have struggled to survive.
Yeah, exactly. But I would stress that the point we're trying to make, CPR obviously very, very important when somebody does have a sudden cardiac arrest. But the use of an AED increases the chances of survival hugely. And AEDs can be used by anyone. They don't require training. They talk you through the whole process. So what we want is a situation where, should it happen in a supermarket, you have the exact same chance of survival as Fabrice had that day. Obviously, we're a long way off that at the moment, but that's what we're working towards, and that's what we need to be the situation.
It does seem incredible from what you're saying, and the number of people that it affects, that it isn't as common as a fire extinguisher or a first aid kit that you'd see on the wall somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, as I say, these devices, AEDs should be in your local gym. They should be on every street corner. The clock is ticking when you have sudden cardiac arrest. You really do not have long. You have minutes to react before the brain begins to be starved of oxygen. And there is something that we call the chain of survival, which is where CPR needs to be administered, but defibrillation is a key element of that chain of survival as well. And unfortunately, at the moment, survival rates are very poor if someone has a sudden cardiac arrest, because that one link in the chain, defibrillation, is so often missing. With just CPR, your chance of survival is just 5%, so it's pretty dire, really. But with CPR and an AED, that rises dramatically to 50%. So we're talking about a huge increase in chance of survival there. We have this technology available. It's a travesty, really, that these devices are not more widespread. And if they are, which is obviously what Hearts and Goals and our campaigning and is all about, then we can start to bring that 100,000 number down.
How much do these things?
Some of those people.
Yeah, how much do these things cost, Steve?
Well, they vary in price, but you know, as part of our campaign for £2,500, you can have a defibrillator in a weatherproof, secured cabinet, which can be placed on the outside of a building. And that then is available to the whole community. So for what is a fairly small investment, considering the life-saving potential of the device, they're actually quite reasonably priced.
Mm. And have I got this right? You don't need specific training. The machine actually talks you through the process, does it?
Exactly right. Yeah. The machine talks you through every single part of the process. So once it's turned on, it will tell you to remove the patient's clothing. It will guide you through the process of peeling back the pads, adding them to the patient's chest. You can't administer an inappropriate shock. The machines, the technology within them actually monitors heart rhythm, and it will only allow you to shock that person if there is what we call a shockable rhythm, so it's an appropriate shock. All you do is press the button, that machine will administer the shock, and then it will guide you to continue CPR until emergency help arrives. So no training required at all.
Now, we're talking to a couple of brothers from Bury later on who lost their dad to a cardiac arrest last year. They've been raising money in his memory. How important are people like them to you?
Absolutely crucial. I can't say enough what a fantastic thing it is that Paul and Jay are doing. I mean, I've spoken to them on many occasions, and obviously it's still very raw to them. It's only just not quite a year, actually, since that happened. So to take something negative like that and turn it into a huge positive is kind of our bread and butter, really. And we find, people in other situations have come forward and done exactly the same thing. It's a fantastic thing that they're doing. And of course, ultimately, they will be making the community in Bury a safer place, which is wonderful.
And presumably, if anybody else wants to help you, you've been more than happy to hear from them.
Absolutely. We would invite anyone to take a look at our website, which is www.heartsandgoals.org, and you can find all the details there about how you can join the campaign and do exactly what Paul and Jay have been doing.
Okay. Good to talk to you this morning, Steve. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
That's Steve Hayes from the Arrhythmia Alliance.